Hey, so last time we essentially covered just drawing with stick figures. And today I was thinking maybe we would do the skeletal shapes and curves. So I think I use these actually a lot more than the stick ones because it's just like less primitive, I guess. Yeah. So first, quick recap. So, very basic stick figure. We were just drawing our head. Wow, that's not gonna work. We were just drawing our head, our neck, a line for our shoulders, a line down to the crotch triangle, pulling our legs from around up here, and doing little spikes for feet. And with the arms, we are doing our X, to find this midpoint, to place our elbow. And the fingers, they stop about mid-thigh, so let's go a little longer. So there's our very, very quick recap. We drew over some pictures. Sorry, my scroll wheel's kind of broken. I did some extra ones for the Gumroad right here. And those were from the gestures that we did using that. So as you can see with these, I end up having to add in that slight curve for the rib cage, so that when they're bending and things, we can actually see that. And some of this I even have to put in red because there's no form, there's no volume, it's just a stick, of course, which makes it much easier for us. But you'll see we go into the skeleton, adding a little bit more shape. We're not going to draw super crazy detailed skeletons. We're not about that life. But we're going to figure this out together. So, yeah, this is a diagram, by the way. This one right here is a diagram that I think is on Amazon. So if I'm not supposed to use it, even though I'm just trying to use it for learning, let me know and I'll just kick it out. So first of all, I guess we can just zoom in here. I'm going to turn down the opacity here. Cool. It's the first time I've spoken today, so my voice is going to be super cracky. So we've just been doing this for the head, and that's totally cool. I would like to start doing these. Okay. They're super simple. It's the front plane of the face where like the eye sockets and stuff like that kind of overlap. And it really helps me when I'm turning the face and I'm just following these so that I can see which way it goes super fast and super simply. I kind of consider it crinkling a paper. I used to just bend paper and put the wrinkles in it, and I would just turn it, and I started adding bits to it and whatever. So you can do that if you want to. So this is still here, but we're going to add just a little bit more to it. So this, okay, hitting these areas here where the rib cage caves in right there. So I always have done this. I learned it a long time ago. I hit that, okay, and that is when I do my curve and my line. And then but I do that. And the reason I do that is because you can use a pistachio shell or anything of that shape, and you can just mess with it and practice with that shape. So yeah, super easy for the most part. Getting the proportions exactly right whenever you're moving it is going to be a little troublesome, but you can figure it out. It's just frustrating at first. Alright, so here's the thing. When it comes to this part here, our beautiful, lovely spine that holds us up and makes us, I don't know, sets us apart from jellyfish, I don't generally draw that in. I do essentially the stomach muscles here, and you don't have to do that, but I just want to mention because you might see I might fall into it occasionally, and the reason is that just like helps me, I know where the meat's gonna end up going on the edges and things. So this is what the crotch triangle encompasses, is this bit. And when we're connecting here, that was a simplification of where this actually comes out. And I would add that edge and go down because you want this. There's a difference between men and women with that bone that'll be really helpful. So I'm just going to curve this. That, it is very simplified. You can always do this if you want. It's totally cool. But I like to simplify this to a curve so that I can hit this bone, which is the inside ankle. It's taller than the outside ankle. See? I'm just going to do that. And then the feet. So yeah, as you can see, it's not too bad, it's not too difficult. It's just going to take some time when it comes to these boys. So what I was doing is I was just simplifying by drawing, how beautiful, drawing a line across. But instead, I'm going to pay attention to the pit of the neck here. Right between these bones. A good rule is your eyeball can fit in there. So, you know, that helps. Another thing I learned quite a long time ago. This is a curve to it. When you're having a hard time drawing it, go ahead and draw just your line and then, you know, draw that over the top of it. It's just like bicycle handlebars. And I'm just going to draw those for now. We're going to grab our shoulder. That is the very top of it. I'm not going to say the name because it's just not important right now. And I usually draw it kind of like this or out like this. And I connect these bones as one bone, which is fine for gesture, but later on I would really pay attention to how these bones, these two, move, because when they're out with the palm facing up, they're separate, so they don't cross over each other. And the muscle does the same, it attaches. So I just simplify them for gesture. Simple hands. You can also still do muffins if you really want to, but we're going to continue simplifying the hands as best as we can. So cool, that's just one down. I'm going to go ahead and hit these. I was showing you that flag thing last time, and I'm going to definitely do that here. So do you see this where it crosses over the eye socket? I'm going to go over the head and down, okay? And it creates that same thing, but now we're going to start adding in the jaw. Just gives us that. It'll be helpful later. And I'm going to hit that. I'm going to give this a pause. Okay, remember that we talked about this tilting forward and this tilting back. So now you can see that better. More clearly. You can do the spine first, if you like. Just to make connecting the ribcage easier. And our crotch triangle. and sometimes draw the whole thing, sometimes not. So if I can't, sometimes I do something more this, and I try to tilt it. And then before I was drawing the leg off here because it meets pretty much right there, we're going to connect here. So remember, that's on the lower part of that triangle. Le curve. Bigfoot. Alright, let's do a quick back view. Oops. Remember this part of the back of the head? The spine connects. Do our spine again. Like a pulled out bow tie. Remember, you can do the straight or, like slightly curved line. So back here, our clavicle or collarbone actually connects all the way back around here. You can see it. And you can draw it like that if you want to. You usually do something more like that, or I'll even still do this just to figure some stuff out. I'm going to do this instead. Cool. And then I do a shape kind of like this. Connect the bone in. And go down. The same proportions apply. That's why we do the stick figure, so that you're learning those proportions before moving on to the more difficult parts. Alright, remember I said this points out? I still draw it like that. So there's for the back. And we do our butt triangle, I don't know. And then we usually come off here. You still can, but I would really recommend you can do this too. A triangle just to figure out where the top of those bones are. But I would get used to drawing that shape that comes off. Remember that the inside one is taller. And then you're going to draw your calcaneus, your heel bone into your foot. Cool, got that out of the way. So then I'm just going to draw over the top of these guys really quick. We're just going to go over this. It's going to make it a little easier to see things moving. And I would recommend finding some of these. You can get them off Pinterest and Google and stuff like that. There's our neck bone. Collarbone simplified. Arm bone curve. Into the hand. Keeping it simple. Okay, remember to come off this back. Okay? This is curvy. Again, how I would draw this is like that, connecting into my triangle. And then bone, foot. Remember that we're finding our arcs. Oops. Okay, you can see there's a really nice flow through the spine. You can draw that. Again, if you're having a hard time, draw a little sharper. It's totally fine. Rib gauge out. Our pistachio. You can check both sides by doing that. Pull our collarbone up. Okay? Again, you can still do that line if you have a hard time seeing that in perspective. Grab our triangle. Just gonna hit the pubic bone, which is right there. So that would be the bottom of the triangle. Then you're going to go up the iliac crest, which is just this opening here, these parts here, I believe, and make the triangle. And I like to connect my spine down into it. And then I'll usually like really push it back when I do this, but for the sake of simplicity, okay, this part. So I'm just gonna follow this here so you can see where that connects over here, out, down. Alright, so super simplified. Sorry, it's super long for me to do the drawovers. I just want to take my time to explain the proportions. So, just so you're not looking at a picture while doing this and, you know, having something underneath, you're going to make these mistakes, and it's fine. These mistakes being drawing something too short, whatever, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. Let me shrink this. Blech. You can always like go back to the sticks. That's totally fine. I've told you before, I usually draw my legs a bit long. I think that's a common thing, and if you remember, they're supposed to be about the same as here. So, you know, there's our little eyeball holder. This goes out. This is why I was saying I don't usually draw this, but you can totally draw that so you can start measuring how far out that goes. And then I just toss that boy in there, little shoulder bone. So it has a bit of a curve to it. So I would definitely say draw the curve. It's me cheating, drawing a super simple curve. So it's me marking pubic bone. Sometimes I just do that without thinking. Finding your nipples pretty much is a triangle from that little eye spot, so we'll go about there. Alright, and then for me, watch out. So I will do some gestures and things with these. It's not as hard as it looks, but you can always, okay, let me grab one of these over here. Oops, let me grab the whole thing, like an adult. Oh, where'd you go? Ugh, it's so broken. Let me find a way to fix that. Okay, so you can always draw one of these Just start off and you can draw over the top of it. You can draw beside it, or whatever works for you. Let's get in here. Okay. So you can, if you're drawing over the top of it, if you've marked this, just remember that clavicle into the arm, to the hand, out. Woohoo. Let's load, there you go. You can draw the hook on the edge if you need to. Totally fine. There's our curve, secondary. So it's gonna go. When I draw those in perspective, I sometimes add a little bit more to it. I hit this bone pretty hard, the knee bone. I go out, in, hit it really hard. It just gives me my perspective. Oh yeah. Pretty simple concept. Practice, on the other hand, we will see. It's difficult at first. Okay. So I'll do some gestures and stuff with this, and we can go over everything again.